I'm the Prez. He's Bryan Leonard, and it's First Pitch, the best baseball betting show on the internet. At least that's my opinion. Ralph, Marco, Teddy, Tony, Drew, Brian, myself, all winning in baseball, but not many are better than Bryan Leonard, up 150 units in baseball over the last two seasons. I had a rough night. I got up about 10 minutes before the show, and the show's being taped at 12:30. So I didn't have time to get you a promo. So here's the deal, listeners. Email Missy at WagerTalk.com. That's MISSY at WagerTalk.com. And make a deal. Just tell Missy how much you want to pay for a Bryan Leonard week, month, or season, and see if she agrees. How's that for a promo? Aren't you the most talkative fuck?
I'm getting calls coming in here and there's shit going on.
Okay, well, how about focus on the show? We'll get it done quick. We only have 600 games to go through. Every game on the board. Let's start. Oakland, 14-9 versus 14-14 Pittsburgh. Oakland's one game to the over, 17-16, and Pittsburgh trending to the under as we expected. The home team minus 120 to 130. The over and under here is 8, Brian. Oakland's on a tear, as in they're tearing their season apart. They've lost 6 in a row, swept by Toronto, swept by Boston. Pittsburgh's won 2 in a row, but prior to that, they were worse than the Oakland Athletics. Two teams heading in the wrong direction. Musgrave versus Anderson. Musgrave's been outstanding. Probably one of the top pitchers in baseball so far this year. 35 innings pitched, a .89 whip, a 1.5 ERA. And he's playing a good team to continue those numbers. Oakland has put up 3-1, 4-4, 1-2 in their last few games. I lean on the under here, Bri.
This one concerns me from a weather standpoint. Is the weather in Pittsburgh is supposed to be a little off and on for the rain all day long, but it is the interleague game, and they only play these teams 2 or 3 times a season, so they're going to want to get this thing in. Yeah. If you're looking to play this game and you want to enjoy it, it's going to be a long night for you because it may be one of those that just takes forever to finish, and they will look to finish it. They don't want to have put a doubleheader going on Saturday or Sunday. Musgrove, as you mentioned, this is a guy that's had a lot of talent, but he hasn't had a lot of strikeouts in the past, and that's been a main concern. Whereas you take a look at Brett Anderson, his strikeout percent this year is only 12.9%. He's not getting the strikeouts. His four-seam fastball, he only throws 7.6% of the time. He's one of those guys that has learned to pitch. We've seen this over the years where you've got guys that come out and they're really a good fastball pitcher when they start young, and as they get a little bit older, they just can't rely on the fastball. They don't have it anymore, and so Pittsburgh has the edge there. But I'm a little concerned about the weather in this game here, so I'm not going to add a whole lot to it.
Tampa Bay, 20-11 on the season, playing the lowly Baltimore Orioles at 11-21. And it's funny, Bri. You bet 1 unit on each one of these teams on the money line so far. And at 20-11, Tampa Bay's made you 3.5 units. At 11-21, Baltimore is a break even. Baltimore, like all year, this team is going to trend to the over. The over and under is 9.5. The road team is at 240, minus 240, Brian. And that's with Glasnow on the mound. Look, like Musgrave, we've got a pitcher who's put up 36 innings. He has a 1.75 ERA. He's playing Straley, who is garbage. But I don't think Glasnow is going to be, he's not going 10-0 with a 1.75 ERA, that's for sure. 5-0 already. I can't take, given that Tampa Bay is on the road, I think the play here is them on the money, on the run line at -1.5.
I made it 226, so I'm on the side of Tampa here. I'm not going to play it. Glass now, it's amazing. 66% of his pitches this year have been the four-seamer. He's just dominating with his strikeouts from the four-seamer, and he only throws the next pitch is a curveball at 30%. So he's basically a two-pitch pitcher this year, but he's doing great. You take a look at his strikeout percentage, 27.7, walk percentage, 5.1. He's a guy that's got everything working for him right now, and you mentioned Dan Straley. He's a guy that came over from Miami. He's one of those guys that continues to try to live off his four-seam fastball 42% of the time, but he does throw a slider and a change very often. But, his hard hit percentage at 52.1, you don't want that as opposed to Glass now it's 32.6. So you've got different classes of pitchers here. We talked in the past, and Ralph Michaels had put this out, that Baltimore on the road has played much better than they have at home. I'm not going to be involved in this game, but it's tough to stand in front of Tampa with Glass now as well as he's pitching right at this point.
He's Bryan Leonard on the Prez. You're watching First Pitch. You can get Brian's plays and mine at WagerTalk.com. And if you email Missy at WagerTalk.com, and just let her know what you're willing to pay for one of Brian's long-term packages, and we'll see if we can make a deal. Disappointing Washington playing Philadelphia. Washington's 13-17. Philly is 17-13. 69% of the money's coming in on Philly today, Brian. It's minus 175, give or take. The over and under is 9. Washington is just on a free fall. They've lost 3 of their last 4, 6 of their last 8. Philadelphia, they've won 4 of their last 5. The big reason for the line here is Hellickson, 5.82 ERA against Eichhoff, who is pitching really well. Only 17 innings, though, of pitched. I don't know what to do here. This is a straight pass for me.
I made this one 168. You're right about Washington. This is a team I thought had some value to win the World Series coming into the season. The changes that they had made, young outfield, just some great players there, but they're just not putting it together. We talked about Eichhoff last time I was on here, and I told you how much I liked him, and you didn't seem to have the same faith in him because of his earlier struggles this year and in prior years. But you take a look at his numbers right now. He's got a 30.8 strikeout percentage compared to Hellickson's 13%. In Major League Baseball anymore, if you can't strike people out, you're really hurting yourself, especially when we've already seen that the balls are juiced again this year. You've got to be able to strike people out. So anytime you can get a situation where you're getting a lot of strikeouts from a guy who's pitching very well as Eichhoff is, that's the side I'm looking to play. But once again, my number's not showing it. I'm only getting a 168 here.
Brian, Minnesota 19-10 on the season so far, up 10.5 units of money if you bet them on the money line, but down a unit on the run line, which shows you that this Minnesota team, they're keeping all games close and they're winning the close ones. They're playing the mean Yankees, still injury-ridden, 17-13 on the season. Both teams are slightly trending to the over. 64% of the money coming in on the Yankees, who find themselves at somewhere around minus 160. The over and under here is 7.5. Bri, Minnesota's won their last 2 games, both against Houston, a really good team. Before that, they swept Baltimore. They've won 6 of 7. And the Yankees are finally coming down to earth slightly with 2 losses to Arizona and silent bats against Arizona. Gibson on the mound versus Paxton. For me, Bri, I'm leaning on the over. It's a low number for an American League game. You don't see a lot of 7.5s. And it's not like either of these pitchers are lights out. I like over the total of 7.5 in the spot.
I hate to disagree with you. I don't have a play. I didn't give out a play on this game to my clients, but I did place a couple of bets. I bet no score in the first inning in this game, and I bet the under 7.5 here. Gibson struggled early in the season, but he's pitching better as of late. And Paxton's been a guy who has been terrific. You take a look at his strikeout percentage, 36.2, only a walk percentage of 7.1. These are guys I'm looking to play on. You mentioned the Yankees lineup right now just continues to struggle. I like this Paxton pitcher, and obviously, the line's telling you that everybody else does too, so that's no secret. But I'm looking to play this game just the opposite of you. I'm looking for the starters to have some success here. I played this under 7.5 at -105, and I played the first inning no score, I believe, at -125. But as for the full game in this, I'm in the Yankees 220. I'm not going to play them at that high a number, even though my numbers say that there might be something there. But I'm looking for this to be a lower scoring game.
He's Bryan Leonard. I'm the Prez. On to the next one. Seattle, Cleveland. 18-5. Seattle, 16-13. Cleveland. Seattle, 22-9 to the over, Brian. They're the road team plus 120 to 128, over and under 8.5. Seattle's bats were silent last night against the Cubs. They've lost 4 games in a row and 7 of their last 9. Cleveland's lost 3 of their last 4. The bottom line for me, Bry, is I like Cleveland here. I know it's -145 to 150, but I think that might be short. I think there might be good value here simply because Seattle is on a bit of a free fall. And their pitcher really, Bry, 33 innings pitched, 4.5 ERA. I think Cleveland's the play.
Yeah, the pitcher for Seattle come over first year in the major leagues. He struggled a little bit. He's only had 6 starts, I believe. He was one of those starters that only pitched 1 inning, but yeah, he struggled a little bit. And we talked about this in the past about Seattle got off to that great start, and now they're coming back down to the level where they should be. Cleveland is always a concern because that offense right now is just terrible. Now they've got what is supposed to be their best pitcher in Kluber now out for a while. Took a a line drive off his arm, so he's out for probably 2 months now. So a lot is being put on Shane Bieber here. This is one of the games I bet that I didn't give to clients. I bet it at 140. If you can get 140, I could see playing Cleveland here. But anytime you're playing Cleveland, you got to worry about them scoring, and this offense has really struggled so far.
Atlanta 15-16 on the year, 16-14 to the over. Miami 9-21 on the season, but only down 7 units if you bet them straight, which means they're playing as major dogs almost every game. Tonight they're plus 140, 135 to 140. The over and under is 8. Atlanta, they just lost to San Diego. They beat them before, but they went 2-2 in the series with them. And Miami with a big win against Cleveland, but that was with Smith on the mound, and he is one of the best pitchers in baseball. I'm passing on this game. Guzman versus Urena, and I'll tell you flat out, Bry. Guzman was one of my fantasy pitchers for the last 2 years. I don't touch him. He could come out and throw a gem. He could come out and be out 7 runs in the first inning. One of the truly most inconsistent pitchers in baseball. I stay away from any game he plays.
It's interesting because if you were judging by the old days about a pitcher's success being how many wins they get, he starts his career over at Baltimore, and now he goes to Miami. So he's used to pitching for bad baseball teams. But I think Osmond's a pretty good pitcher. I bet Urena here 143 with the Marlins. Again, another game I didn't give out to my clients. I bet a lot more than I give out because the lines just aren't there very long. So I've got to give them something that's widely available. But you're right. I like this Miami pitching staff, the starting pitching staff, but Urena is probably the least successful out of the bunch. But Miami's played at home. I like them better at playing at home than playing on the road. I've talked about that in the past. And Atlanta's just one of those teams that they peaked about a year early last year, and right now they're a little bit overpriced. I only made them at 124 here, so my numbers say to play Miami. The markets didn't quite agree with me on this, which is why I didn't give it out as a play. But hey, I'm back in the home dog here.
The Giants versus the Reds. Both teams are 13-8. The Reds still can't get their bats going. 7-23 to the under, which means you've made a ton betting red games under. 8 tonight. San Fran's the dog. The Reds find themselves at minus 160, give or take. San Fran's won 2 of their last 3. We consider that a streak for San Fran. Cincinnati has won 1 of their last 2. We'll call that a streak as well. Gray versus Bede. I got nothing on Tyler. No innings pitched. Sonny Gray, 9 whip, bad ERA. I don't know where to go in this game, dude. Like, Cincinnati's not going to get my money at minus 150. They're just too bad a team. If anything, I'd probably lean on the under, but we've got an unknown pitcher on the mound. This is just a straight pass.
Well, Tyler Beatty, he's had he was more hyped earlier in his career and had some injuries, but he's a quality pitcher. He's coming in here for San Francisco. And Sonny Gray, I guess I like it better than you do. His strikeout percentage this year, 30.3. I thought coming out of New York, and the whole thing about pitchers going into New York, you have to have a certain kind of charisma, and the city ate him up. And so I throw out his years in his time in New York. I like the way he pitched in Oakland. I like the way he pitches here. You're right, the teams are struggling to score some runs here. But I can't see Cincinnati being this big of a favorite in this matchup. I think there's some value on the dog. Actually, I think there's a lot. If you just play the dogs blindly today, I think you're going to do very well. I'm not going to suggest people to do that. But I found when I looked over my card today, normally I play a good size of favorites. Probably about half my plays are favorites. And today's card, I got a lot of underdogs. So hopefully it's a dog day.
Well, it's certainly a dog day if you look outside my house. So weather-wise, that's for bloody sure. Kansas City 11-21 playing a 13-15 Detroit. Both teams are bad, Bri. Detroit minus 155, 160. Over and under here is 8. Kansas City has won 2 of their last 3, which is remarkable. Detroit has won 1 of their last a lot. These teams are really bad. Matthew Boyd versus Lopez. Boyd's been okay, Bri. 37 innings pitched, 2-2 on the season, 3 ERA, 1 whip. Lopez, not so good. With him pitching 1-5 for his team. You look at the number 8 here, and to me, the play is on the over, even though we have 2 teams that do struggle to score.
I made this line 130 in favor of Boyd, and I like Boyd. There's actually rumors coming out that now that he's having success and he's a younger pitcher, that Detroit is actually looking to trade him now, or at least thinking about taking offers on Boyd, who is by far their best pitcher, starting pitcher at this point, which will tell you that the Tigers are looking at the future, which you really have to. I mean, Minnesota and Cleveland are so far better than the other teams in this division. It wouldn't surprise me if Detroit makes a swap for some minor leaguers here. But Jorge Lopez is one of the pitchers I've been looking to go against, and it's worked out pretty well. He's not a major league pitcher. He shouldn't be in the rotation at this point, but you've got a Kansas City team very similar to Detroit where they're just trying to survive right now until they get some young players up. It's just going to be a while until they do, because neither team has really got that many true players in the minors that can make a difference. So we'll have to see here. But the number's a little bit too high for me to lay to Detroit, but I made it about 130.
Blue Jays 14-17. They were 500, and then they lost a few games in a row. They're playing Texas tonight. Blue Jays are playing to the under. Texas is playing to the over. 70% of the money so far is coming in on Texas. They're minus 155 to 160. The over and under in this game is 9. Look, Toronto's lost 3 in a row. All on the West Coast, all to Anaheim. Texas has lost 2 in a row. And, here's the bottom line for me. We've seen some decent starts from Thornton. His numbers don't show it overall on the year. But this kid can pitch. Mike Minor, outstanding whip at .9. won. But, from my perspective, I think the Blue Jays are very live tonight.
I agree. I like the Blue Jays here. I thought the line was a little bit too high. I actually made it more of a pickup game, and a lot of people are going to say, "Well, how could you do that with the mound matchup of Minor and Thornton?" Well, Minor's been great. There's no doubt about it. But you've got to realize he's coming back from an injury, so anything can happen. He's pitching great right now, and hats off to him. But I like Trent Thornton. I think he's a guy that's staying under the radar right now. He's not getting a lot of credit, and I think there's some value right now on playing on Toronto. And a lot of people are talking about this Rangers offense, really scoring a lot of runs. I actually rate Toronto's offense better. And now, as you know, we talked last week about the big call up for Toronto with the third baseman and Vlad Guerrero's son, Vlad Jr. So we're going to have to see how that works out. He hasn't gotten off to a great start so far, but he's got everything there for him, and the Toronto fans have something to be excited about, which is great because it's been a while since Toronto's really had a really good baseball team.
Yeah, and this Brandon Drury guy out of the blue, I mean, he's just really hitting the ball well, and he's getting a lot of contact. Boston Red Sox, the single worst team to bet on so far this season. And if you listen to our preview shows in which Bryan Leonard was on it, we spoke about that. We spoke about the fact that if you bet the Red Sox on the money line the whole way through, you would lose your house. They're down 15 and a half units already. They're down 11 and a half units on the run line. They're 14 and 8 on the season. They're 18 and 13 to the over. The White Sox, who they're playing, are 17 and 11 to the over. And every day, without fail, no matter what happens, Boston is a massive favorite. Here they are again. Penny has them in the minus 180s, but there's 205 on the board as well. Let's call it minus 190. The over and under here is 8. Sale is a disaster. 0-6, 30 innings pitched. That's an average of 5 innings a game. 6 ERA, 1.4 whip. He did look good at the back end of the last game, and maybe that is really what turns him around. He's playing against Lopez. Brian, I can't take Boston at minus 200, minus 190. It just makes no sense to me. This team just doesn't deserve our money. They have won 3 of their last 4 games. I'm going to pass on this game, but if I were to bet it, I would take Boston on the run line. They are a better team than the White Sox, and I think they would win more games than not on the run line in this spot.
Yeah, my numbers say Boston also. Chris Sale's a guy he's pitched a little bit better as of late. His advanced stats are a little bit better than what people are giving him credit for, but he's still not Chris Sale. I mean, you expect a lot, and it's gone on with a lot of pitchers this year. In fact, the entire Cleveland starting staff has been that way. They've struggled other than Bauer, who's just been tremendous. Ronaldo Lopez came out last time. I believe he had 14 strikeouts in 6 innings or something. Just a terrific game, and he's capable of doing that. This is a guy who was highly hyped coming into Chicago last few years, but he's just been very consistent. But when he's on, and it's tough to beat. The Red Sox had to use both their best guys in the bullpen, and they don't have a very good bullpen. Both guys came out yesterday. Barnes struck out the side in the 8th, and then they gave up the home run in the 9th. It cost them the game with Brazier. And he does have home run possibilities because he's got a high fly ball rate. So that's always a concern at the back end of that bullpen. But I've talked about this in the past where if a team should have won the game the night before and then finds a way to lose it, I like to back on the next day. It's actually, I hate to say a cheap line if you can find the 180 on Boston. It is actually a cheap line because I made it much higher than that. But it's tough to lay that kind of number based on the way this team is finding ways to lose.
Yeah, and yet you see that number every single day without fail, no matter who's on the mound, no matter who they're playing against. Red Sox Army, they want to bet their team. The Mets are 18 and 10 to the over. They're 16-5 on the year. They're minus 3 units if you bet them on the money line all the way through. They're playing a 17-16 Milwaukee Brewer team. The Mets had a great start to the season. They've come down to earth. Milwaukee, we expect more from them than what they are giving us right now. The home team, the Bucks, funny. Minus 133. The over and under here is 8. 8, Brian. New York Mets put up 1 run last game, 0 runs the game before that. Milwaukee, a 6-4-4-5, 2-8-10. So this team is hitting the ball well, but their pitching is a disaster. 11 runs they've let in each of their last 2 games to Colorado. Dude, I literally have nothing. Mats versus Woodruff. I don't know.
I like Mats a little bit better than Woodruff in this game. I'm not a huge Woodruff fan. I think Steven Matz he's overshadowed by the other starters they have in that lineup. And as you pointed out, 2-1-0 games the last 2 days for the Mets. I make the line a little bit smaller here. I think there's some advantage here on the Mets. You take a look at the bullpens here, and that's something you got to keep track of. Yesterday, Syndergaard throws a shutout, so you've got the entire Mets bullpen, which is overall better than Milwaukee's, and they're all available. And Hader didn't have to pitch yesterday, so Milwaukee's best pitcher in the bullpen is available. Based on the way the Mets have pitched lately and the lack of hitting, the under may be a good spot here if you'd like to take a look at the under. Milwaukee and Colorado, as you pointed out, more of a hitting team than the Mets have been lately. So slightly with the Mets here. I actually like the Mets a little bit, and then I also like the under slightly.
Bryan Leonard with us. You can find Bryan every day at WagerTalk.com. Email Missy at WagerTalk.com. She might be slow on the trigger today because we gave her the day off, but she will be answering emails because our business runs 365. Email Missy at WagerTalk.com if you want to deal on any of Brian's packages. Brian, a couple of games left and we'll call it a day. Arizona 18-13 playing Colorado 15-17. And, Colorado had a real rough start to the year, but they have turned it around and are only 2 games below 500. Arizona is doing well, man. They just beat the Yankees 3-2 and 3-1, which is such a great line number for a team because it just shows you that they were dominant on both, not on both sides, but they were able to get enough runs in. And from a pitching perspective, holding the Yanks to 3 runs in 2 games. This team has won 7 of their last 9 games. Colorado, they've won 2 in a row. They beat Milwaukee. They put up an 11 spot twice in a row. And 11 happens to be the over and under in this game. That's a big number. Robbie Ray is not a bad pitcher, Bri. I get that he has a 4 ERA right now and a 1.24 whip. And Anderson is the same. Anderson is no world beater, but come on, an 11 ERA and a 2 whip. I think you're getting value right now on the under in this game, to be honest with you. I think these pitchers are both better than their records. And I think Colorado, with the 11 spots against Milwaukee, might have shot their load. I like the under in this game, and I like it a lot.
Robbie Ray is a guy that I want pitching for me in this ballpark. He's got a 27.2% strikeout percentage. And when you play to Colorado, you want the ball to stay in the park. And by striking people out, you don't hit home runs. And that's really what you got to do out here in this building is you've got to keep the teams off balance and hitting the ball, not barreling up as if a word that they're saying now that you can't hit the ball hard in this ballpark because it's going to go out of the ballpark. And with Robbie Ray throwing 27.2% strikeouts, that's something I always take a look at. When you get guys out there that can't strike anybody out in this ballpark, it means unless they can keep them off balance with some off-speed pitches, Colorado's going to put some runs on the board. I like Arizona here. I agree with you. As for the total, I have nothing on the total, but I actually made Arizona a 106 favorite here, so slight advantage here to Arizona. I bet them earlier at plus plus 101. So a little bit of a value for Arizona here. But the line's being bet up as we speak, so that value may be gone. But I didn't give this to my clients. This is one that I bet myself.
Brian, San Diego, I've told everybody, bet him on the under, blind all year, 13-17 to the under. This team's 18-14 on the season. They've been over 500 since day one. They're playing the Dodgers 20-13 on the year, but not great away from home. Only 8-9, up to 3 units on the money line, but down 6 units on the run line. So another team that is winning tight games. 71% of the money is coming in on the Dodgers. San Diego plus 140. The over and under in this game is 7.5. Kershaw is on the mound, and he's playing well again. 7.75 a whip, 2.25 ERA. Just a lights-out pitcher, Bri. His team's 3-0 with him starting. He's playing against Eric Lauer. Here's the bottom line. You're getting minus 160 with Kershaw tonight. That's a pretty short line for a pitcher of his ilk. I don't think you see that a lot. He's somewhere around the minus 200s, and we've seen minus 300s and minus 350s with him. I think you got to jump on Clayton at that number when you can get it.
Yeah. Lauer, to me, is the weak spot in that San Diego starting pitching lineup. They've got some nice starting pitchers. They've got some guys in the minors that are ready to be called up. They called up Cal Quantrill just a couple days ago. Kershaw, people are just overlooking him, I think, because of his injury coming into the season. He has been injured last year. But you go take a look at his numbers going across the board. His hard hit percentage only 20.8. His strikeout percent 28.8. He's only walking 5.5% of batters. I mean, it's the old Kershaw from the numbers if you take a look at the advanced stats here. So I made this line 202. And so my number tells me to play the Dodgers, but my number always tells me to play the Dodgers because my numbers say that the Dodgers are the most talented team in baseball. They got the best hitting. They got the best pitching. They should win the World Series. But it doesn't always work out that way, as we always see, as the Dodgers have been bridesmaids the last few years. But, this number's cheap for 160 for the Dodgers. I haven't played it yet, but it's one that I'm looking at. If I get a little bit lower, I'm going to bite on the Dodgers.
He's Bryan Leonard. I'm the Prez. That's first pitch. We've been running a little motif in Morning Joe and the Pro where we end every show thanking RJ Bell for allowing WagerTalk to come into existence. I didn't do Morning Joe and the Pro today. Marco did. So instead, it's very appropriate to have you on this show with us today, Bryan Leonard, because you are really a recipient of the incredible management strategies that RJ Bell has used in the past. So again, I would like to thank all listeners for watching First Pitch. You can find us on our YouTube channel, WagerTalk TV, and a shout out to our MVP, RJ Bell. And Brian, another recipient of his wonderful management skills, and another reason why WagerTalk is as big and successful as it is. I know you don't want to add anything to that, so let's just say goodbye.
I appreciate it, and the words are coming out of your mouth, not mine.
That's correct. The Prez. And you know what, Brian? I mean, let's be honest here, dude. Thanking someone is thanking someone. It's a kind, beautiful gesture.
Yes. I'll leave it at that.
He's Brian. I'm the Prez. We'll see you on Monday.